Welcome back to the Rupp Report, everybody. I am your host, Tyler Russell, and I am joined by co-host Israel Schill. This episode, we're going to be going over Kentucky becoming ranked number 9 in the AP poll, and we're also going to preview the Purdue exhibition game, which is coming this Friday inside of Rupp Arena at 6 o'clock. Israel, number 9 for Kentucky to start. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, kind of similar to what Pope said. It's like 9 is coming up everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's hard to not look and acknowledge that when it's literally everywhere. You know what I mean? You get the preseason number 9 poll. Obviously, they have a big number 9, the assignment, every day when they're in practice. So it's a number that they're probably thinking about a lot. And I actually asked Jalen Lowe when I was at SEC Media Day what it meant to him. And, you know, he was talking about the fact that they know, you know what I mean? It's hard to avoid the buzz surrounding it, and they feel really confident in winning a national championship. So it's not something that feels like unattainable to them, you know what I mean?
For sure. And I mean, I think after last season, this season, there's a little more expectation, especially after the way last season went with that roster and figuring that whole thing out. But coming into this season, there's more of a national championship aspirational feel.
Yeah, definitely.
Last year they thought they could do it. You're not going to be a Division I basketball team like Kentucky and not think that you are or think that you're going to lose. But
yeah, exactly. Every year feels like you're going to win the national championship. Yeah,
and that goes for the fan base too. But I think definitely there's a little more hype around that. And you know, like you said, the players know it too. And it's kind of inevitable to not think that. I mean, why would they not? 1 and 2. They have the roster for it. They have, experience. And coming in at number 9, I think personally is a little too low for them.
I'm glad you said that, because I didn't want to sound crazy when I said it later. But I really do feel like this team is near a top 5, maybe just outside.
Yeah. So if we move to that, I mean, let's just jump into who's ahead of them. We're going to get to Purdue to talk about the exhibition, receiving 35 of 61 votes to be number 1. So they're the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
Houston, I think it is, returning players.
The returning talent is easily, especially in the state of college basketball, having returning talent, that especially 3 guys that averaged more than 10 points per game last year. It's hard to look at that and say, these guys aren't the best team in the country.
Yeah, and Braden Smith, preseason Big Ten Player of the Year.
Unanimous All-American.
You knew he was getting that immediately.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 2, national championship runner-ups from last year, we have Houston. Behind them at number 3, we have the last year's national champions, Florida. 4, UConn. 5, Rick Pitino and St. John's. 6, Duke. 7, Michigan. 8, Mark Pope's former team, BYU.
Yeah.
I think BYU should be ahead of Kentucky. I don't even think BYU should be number 8. I think they should be higher.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yaxel
People are really
Landenborg,
sleeping on that roster, I feel like.
I think a lot of people see they got A.J. DeBansa, and they think that's it. They think they just got the number 1 player in the country, and everyone's just jumping on that.
They built around him solidly.
They did. And, Richie Saunders is coming back. I think he averaged near 16 a game last year. He's solid.
Yeah.
Ahead of BYU at 7, Michigan. I don't know. I mean, I'm a big Dusty May guy. I think he's a great coach. Yaxel Landenborg transferring there. Duke is obviously going to be around there. But honestly, I don't even think Duke should be ahead of Kentucky.
No. To me, St. John's, you could make an argument, but Duke and St. John's to me are 2 teams where it's like, well, they're going to be great this year. They have great rosters and they hit money in the transfer portal. But just the way that Kentucky is looking right now and the depth of the roster is like, we'll see against St. John's.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I really do think that they're going to come out with a win on that one.
Yeah, and, you said UConn at 4, Florida 3. They're loaded. Xavier Lee, Princeton, Boogie Flan, 2 returners coming back.
Yeah.
At least 2 returners that are going to start, Thomas Hogg and drawing a blank on the other one. But they're going to be a very solid team. And, Houston and Purdue, they're going to be up there. So I think, like we were saying, the teams that Kentucky should be ahead, Duke, St. John's, so that would put them at number 5 or number 6. And I think that's a pretty fair rating. But number 9 it's cool and all when you talk about
exactly.
their aspirations to get their 9th banner.
It's a little disrespectful, I think. It's a little disrespectful.
But maybe that's something that could help Kentucky because they hear all the buzz.
I mean, they're clearly motivated by the fact that they're number 9.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
for
like for them, it's written in the stars. The way Jalen's face, like, lit up when he was talking about it. It was like, all right, you can tell this guy really wants to win a national championship this year.
Yeah, and I think this was also at SEC Media Day. Pope was asked about it.
Yeah.
And his response was, I was elated that we came in at number 9. We see 9 everywhere we go. We think 9 is in our future destiny, and we're chasing it hard.
Yeah.
So when you have your head coach saying that too.
Hearing that is like, I mean, when everyone buys into the culture, when everyone buys into the idea of that they're going to win the national championship, it's hard to stop a group that's so talented and a group that's bought in hard like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think so. I'm gonna tell a quick story, and not anywhere is my high school soccer days anywhere near this.
This is great.
So
no. I see the similarities.
When I was a senior, our goal, we were always bad, but we had a new coach. We had a really good roster, and our whole thing was that we're going to get a ring this year. And all we were talking about was we wanted a ring. We were going to win state championship, whatever. And our coach did the opposite of what Mark Pope is doing. And I'm not saying that my coach is near like a D1 coach, but he said no one is allowed to bring up a ring because right now we want it, but we're not taking the steps we need to get there.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't let us bring up the word ring. Mark Pope is taking a very different approach to this and only talking about the banner, which in this case would be the ring. He's only talking about the banner, which I think is pretty different and pretty interesting because from a head coach with 18, 19, 20 college kids, I feel like taking that approach to just ultimately talking about the end goal could be dangerous. You could be walking in uncharted territory with that because your team could not, be taking the small steps to get to number 9 when they're only looking at the end result. I mean, that goes for everything.
No,
you
totally.
want to take baby steps to get to the big.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I think bringing up the high school story wasn't as bad as it could be. But
No, I agree with that. It made a lot more sense.
At first, I was like, I don't know how this is going to come off. This is going to be bad, but I think it's pretty solid.
No, sometimes I compare my old
glory days.
My glory days with Kentucky basketball.
Yeah,
I see this.
It's always a good comparison.
Yeah, it's always great.
So let's move to the Purdue exhibition on Friday, October 26th, 6 p.m. in Rupp Arena. Sold out. Tickets $2,000, nosebleeds.
I mean, it's crazy.
Would you pay $2,000 to be up there if you didn't have any credentials?
God no.
Yeah.
God no.
Yeah.
Maybe
even just a fan. If you were born and raised in Lexington, I still don't think I would do it.
I think if I had lived my whole life and as a Kentucky fan, and maybe it was we were number 1, they were number 2, and it was late season, and we were both undefeated.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Michael Jordan was playing.
An exhibition game being near the same price as a national championship / Final Four game is crazy, and that just shows the power of Rupp Arena.
Yeah,
and
definitely. I
don't think that if this game was at Purdue, I don't think theirs would be going for near $2,000.
No,
I don't know if I'd be off with saying that, but I don't think that they would pay or their prices would be like that. One, because I don't think it means as much. But 2, I also don't think anyone there would pay that. They know people in Lexington will pay that price.
Yeah, they know people are going to pay for that. And I like your point saying that you don't know if they care that much, because this is another little side point, but I was not directly involved in some Twitter beef with some Purdue fans, but
maybe.
Kai posted the video of them carrying the logs over their head, doing that Navy SEAL training thing. And Kai was like, "This is ridiculous. Why would you do this? This has nothing to do with basketball. Cats by 90 or something. You know what I mean? Something like that." And man, did the fans come storming in this game means nothing anyways.
Yeah,
it's just a preseason game. If you think Matt Painter cares about this game, you're crazy. This, and that. And to me, it's well, I don't necessarily think that it would be crazy to care about this game, because at the end of the day, it's getting good minutes that don't count against a great opponent in an away environment that is going to be tough to play in.
Yep.
So I really think that if they're taking it seriously, we'll know.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a battle.
Yep.
But if they're coming in there half steam, I mean, I think Kentucky will blow them out because I think Mark Stoops.
Oh, God.
I think not him. I think Mark Pope is going to be coming in, guns blazing.
I think Purdue fans, it's not going to be realistic to say this because they're just ultimately the way the cookie crumbles is they're not going to care as much as Kentucky fans.
No,
I think
that's
Purdue
what happens
fans,
when you never win a national championship.
Yeah,
it's hard,
exactly. One Final Four with Zach Edey. But
yikes.
I think that Purdue fans should care more. If anyone was to care about this more, I think Purdue fans should care more because they're the ones with the target on their backs. That's number one. They're number one in the country. That's the first point. Yeah. Number two, they're playing in Rupp Arena in an away environment. So that's two things against them. So if they come out with a win, if they beat Kentucky, that is two phenomenal accolades to have before when your record is 0-0.
Yeah.
So I think that Purdue fans should 100% care more. And we already talked about this a little bit on the first episode. Take the players aside from it. Mark Pope and Matt Painter is a headline in itself.
It really is.
I mean, if they were at different teams, I still think that Mark Pope versus Matt Painter is going to be.
These are like two of the best coaches and built rosters in the last 10, 15 years of college basketball.
Which is because of the coaches.
Exactly.
I mean, if they were at different teams, there's no doubt that they'd still be able to get talented players like Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Otega Owe, and Jaden Quaintance. And which moves to the next point of Kentucky will be facing Purdue, most likely without Jalen Lowe, who you were there at the blue-white game. I wasn't. Suffered the old shoulder injury. Yeah,
it was tough. I was in the corner watching from the sideline, and he – reaching for diving for a ball, just popped right out, man. Like you could see it, get out of its socket there. And he instantly started, you could see the pictures of him swinging his feet, yelling. Like it was not pretty, Memorial Coliseum fell silent, and it was kind of a scary moment, I think, for a lot of fans to be like, wow, are we going to have another Lamont Butler situation where he's going to have a brace for the whole entire season
behind him?
Exactly. And it's like, especially with the guy who you're like, well, Jalen Lowe could very well be like one of the best point guards in the country this year, depending on how much exposure and playing time we see him get. But what I've been saying is, Cats fans and the team dodged a major bullet with this one because the fact that it was just a dislocation, MRIs came back negative.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about any tearing of any ligaments, any broken bones, nothing. I mean, that is like best case scenario for the Cats.
If something like this was going to happen, this is what you would want the outcome to be.
Absolutely, yeah.
And a quote here from Larry Vaught from yoursportsedge.com. Bear with me. From what sources told me, the MRI on Lowe's shoulder was negative. It was not a full dislocation of the shoulder as it did not completely pop out of place and had to be maneuvered a little bit, quote unquote, to get it back and fully in place.
I saw that happen, and it was like, ooh, a little the way it snapped back in, it was like, no.
And then Vaught also went on to say it's unlikely Lowe will play against Purdue in Friday's exhibition game. An exact timetable for his return will not be known for several days at best.
Yeah.
That's for that on Jalen Lowe. And Kentucky will also be without Jaden Quaintance, who a little longer of a timetable, a little more.
I think they're a little more prepared to have the absence of JQ.
Yeah, and a little more up in the air of when he is even going to come back, recovering from the ACL he tore with as a member of Arizona State last year. ACL tore it in February, so he had the whole summer to work on it, and he still hasn't fully got into full game-like scenarios. He's still kind of taking it slow, which Pope said they're going to do, because while he is getting better really fast, faster than they were expecting, he said they're trying to find a middle ground. Because if you rush him, it's not going to go good. But if you kind of pull him back a little bit, he's going to get delayed.
Exactly.
So they gotta find that.
They got some of the best doctors in this country, in the state, coming out here for stuff like this. So I'm sure they're going to get him on the right track. But who do you think is going to see the most time when the lineup shifts, filling in that point guard position?
Yeah.
Obviously it's probably going to be Denzel Aberdeen at the start, but even filling up those backup minutes now, Jasper Johnson's probably going to slide up. Even Trent Noah is probably going to slide up. So what do you think that's going to look like?
I think Denzel Aberdeen at the point guard spot is going to get the most amount of time because, an exhibition game, you're practicing and you're gelling with your team, and you're also preparing for different parts of the season. And God forbid, I don't want to say it, I don't want to jinx it, but if there was another injury to Jalen Lowe or at the point guard spot that didn't include Denzel Aberdeen, I think he'd be the first one to step up there.
For sure.
So I think he is going to get the most minutes, whether you put him there at the 2. 1 or 2, I think he's probably going to get the most amount of time.
It's tough to not put a guy who just won a national championship and was on the floor for a national championship. Put him out there who's got the experience when you want to win that championship.
Yep.
Got to put him out there.
Even if he doesn't get that much involvement, which he will if he plays point
guard. He will
guard.
eventually, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that him just being on the court, people seeing the way he flies around, the way he plays defense, the way he carries himself mentality-wise, you're playing the #1 team in the country. If something goes south, see how he responds, brings it up.
Totally.
Which he definitely will and can.
Definitely. He's not all on the stat sheet. His impact goes across much deeper than that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good to see how he fares.
If you count Denzel Aberdeen's importance off of stats, then you would come to one of us and say that he is not important at all.
Exactly. You'd look at us and be like, this guy should be the 8th, 9th, 10th man on the roster.
For sure. I think he averaged around 9 points.
8 or 9 points last year.
But, flying around on defense, and like we were talking about, just him being here.
Yeah.
I mean, he transferred to Kentucky. I'm pretty sure it was exactly 14 days, 2 weeks after Florida won the national championship.
When he won the national championship, and he was like, all right, time to do this
Mission
somewhere
accomplished.
else.
Let's run it back. Not in Gainesville, though.
No, and I think that's great because he was like, all right, well, now I know what it takes, and I have that championship mentality, so let me take that to a place that I know is on that same level of, understanding the fact that they know how to win and they know they want to win.
Yeah. So. And I think to answer your question, I think aside from Denzel Aberdeen and not at the point guard role, I know it's an exhibition. I know Kentucky and the SEC administration knows what he's capable of, Otega Owe, but I could also see him kind of playing a good amount of minutes because – again, if this was like D2, you would use everyone on the court at every single time, which they're also probably still going to do. But I don't think that they're going to – like if you were playing a D2 school like Minnesota State, which they faced last year, you would get everyone in there, get everyone a chance to play in Rupp Arena.
Zach Tao would be getting minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And but I think Otega is going to get a good amount just because, again, for the new squad that they're building, you see how he carries himself coming in also – give him time to adjust as the SEC preseason player of the year. Yeah. So I think Otega is going to get a good amount of minutes as well, and BG holding it down. And I'm really curious to see how Malachi Moreno does.
Yeah, I really am too.
Because I think he looked solid in the blue-white event.
He did. Going
up against BG. And
definitely.
I grabbed a good board over him too, and he looked solid.
Yeah, I think he's going to be one of the guys that fans are surprised about, to be like, well, obviously it's tough to be surprised about a guy who was a 5-star, right?
4-star.
4-star. Yeah. So it's tough to be surprised about a guy like, is coming in with a lot of potential. But when you have guys, JQ, who's going to be a top 10 draft pick, filling in a lot of those big man minutes when he comes back. BG, one of the best returning big men in the SEC this year. So, when you look at that, you don't immediately think, all right, Malachi's going to get a lot of minutes in. But what you don't realize is, well, he's sitting behind 2 guys who already have a lot of experience in college basketball and already understand exactly what it takes to get to the top. So he's already learning and already developing. So, yeah, like you said, at the blue-white game, he looked good. And I think the more minutes he gets, I think he'll probably see more against Georgetown. Yeah. But I think the more minutes that he gets, the better he's going to get. And we're going to see that every day, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty funny bringing up Malachi Moreno because I've seen a bunch of things around locally in Lexington, like online and stuff. A lot of people are not very fond of the hometown kid that goes to their local school in terms of talent because I've read stuff that says Kentucky's a very competitive basketball state for high school, but I've seen kind of like stuff with Arch Manning. This is who he was playing against in high school. No wonder he was this good. No wonder he got up to a 4-star. But I think Malachi is 7 foot, 6'11", 7'1",
yeah, he's probably still growing too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it'd be a very bad idea to kind of base his skill level and talent off of who he played in high school because you see, and we also saw it in the blue-white game, what he's capable of. He's big, he's physical. He's not just someone that just bodied everyone because they were like JV kids. He has talent. He's very good. And I don't think that 24/7 Sports or anyone that recruited him would look at who he was playing against. I think that's very not the best way to look at that.
Definitely not. And obviously with the state of youth basketball right now, AAU is like probably the #1 teller of how they put together these rankings.
For sure.
So they're not looking at, when Malachi plays against like a 2A, random school from the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere, Kentucky, and beats them by 100 and drops 50. You know what I mean? They're looking at the higher competition games that he plays. So I think that's kind of crazy that people are talking down on him like that, especially because Kentucky has seen so many homegrown talent come through and do well. Reed Shepherd, literally a guy who
last night NBA tip-off.
Literally, I mean, it was a number 3 pick in the draft and came off the bench for like most of the season too, and ended up a top 5 pick. So it's insane that people are talking down on him like that, and we'll see. I think he's gonna have definitely gonna let his game do the talking, but he's gonna have a lot to say about that.
Yeah, and just a side note on that, he was also won the Mr. Kentucky basketball award, which I know Reed Shepherd won. I'm pretty sure Travis Perry won it
the
well.
year after, I think.
Yeah, and Malachi also, I think, dropped 24 points in the state championship in Rupp Arena against Bowling Green. So
I mean, it's
going to be interesting.
Say what you
to
want,
see.
man, but Kentucky high school basketball is pretty competitive.
Yeah,
I know what I mean?
From New Jersey, I know New Jersey basketball is competitive, but I also know that I think Indiana, obviously because of Hoosiers and all that, but also in Kentucky, these two states know that it's not just high school basketball. It's
definitely
the way they look at it is a step down from college. They don't call it like high school basketball. It's the closest thing to college.
Yeah, literally. So. I mean, it is, and I think. We won't beat on that too hard, but that's crazy. Yeah. People are crazy.
He'll be all right.
He'll be all right.
Well, that does it for our second episode.
Yeah.
We will be coming to you guys next week, most likely with a preview before Kentucky faces off against Ed Cooley and the Georgetown Hoyas. But that's it for listening. We thank you guys. That's it for us. We thank you so much for listening. And make sure you follow the Field of 68 on all platforms. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, we'll be there. Once again, thank you guys for listening.